Some people not.
Absolutely.
There's no end to it.
Ooh, I got a pen. Can I have your pen too? Yeah.
I see the thing.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm sorry. My knee. My wife, I can't run. Then she didn't want to you and Sherry.
Good evening. Welcome to the City Council meeting for Tuesday, August 6, 2019. Honorable Mayor Robert Odekirk presiding. Right now, we'd like to ask you to stand as Pastor DeAndre Robinson from Second Baptist Church, 156 South Joliet Street, leads us in the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Father God, we come in the name of Jesus, just asking you, God, to give us the strength and the courage to do your will. We pray, Father, that you would touch this mayor and this council and every city official and have your way in each of their lives, that they would do the work that they are set out to do for the betterment of all of your people, not by race, color, or creed, but that everyone be treated equally and fairly, and that every decision that is made is for the betterment of every citizen in this city that we stand for. Lord, we just thank you for being so good to all of us. In spite of all the things that we've been through, God, we thank you for your grace and your mercy. Touch them, every decision, every time they make a move, God. We ask that you would be in their hearts and their minds and be in the midst of every decision. We just thank you now, Lord, for all the things that are going on in this city, the great work that has already taken place. And Lord, we just ask you to continue to build upon that in your name, God. So we thank you for all that you've done, God, and all that you're going to do as they continue to walk by faith and not by sight. And we ask, God, that they would trust in you with all of their heart and not lean to their own understanding, but in all of their ways, oh God, they would acknowledge you and allow you to direct their path. It is in the name of Jesus we pray and we thank God. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Odekirk.
Here.
Councilman Dickinson. Here. Councilwoman Gavin.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Here.
Councilwoman Rudin.
Here.
Councilman Turk.
Here.
First on the agenda this evening is a presentation. It's updates from Joliet Public School District 86 and Joliet Township High School District 204. Superintendents Dr. Teresa Rouse and Dr. Mike Hansen.
Good evening. Before we start into the presentation, just some quick introductions. My name again is Dr. Teresa Rouse, Superintendent of Joliet Public Schools District 86. 3 of my board members are here this evening. I'd like to introduce them as well. Tony Contos, Vice President of the Board, Gwen Ulmer, Board Member, and Eric DeShawn-Doris, Board Member.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Mike Hansen, Superintendent of Joliet Township High School 204. I'm proud to introduce 2 of our board members this evening. This is Meg Capel, Mr. Jim Allison.
We decided to join our presentation so that we actually are looking at education in Joliet from a pre-K to a high school environment, so that we can see all the connectedness in between our 2 districts. So as we get started, I'll start with District 86 and then we'll transition into District 204. So some basic facts, and you have a folder there, a white folder for District 86. Inside the front folder on the left-hand side, you'll find a District 86 at a glance. Just some reminders of some details about our district. We are the 4th largest elementary district in the state of Illinois. We have the oldest elementary band program in Illinois, 2nd oldest in the nation. We serve over 11,000 students at 21 schools, 15 elementary schools, 4 junior highs, and 1 alternative school, and 1 early childhood center, covering about 26.4 square miles in Joliet. The additional facts you can find on the at a glance in your folder will give you some more information. There's also a page in there about our screening dates for Mary Crest, our early childhood center. We're trying to get those dates out early to families so that they know when the appropriate times are for screening to be considered for Mary Crest. Our strategic goals, 2 years ago, we launched these 5 goals: cultural proficiency, early literacy, mastery by grade 3, mastery by grade 8, and digital citizenship, as a part of our new plan with my moving into the district. That was the beginning of my 2nd year. Now I'm starting my 4th year with the district, and I'm really pleased at where we're going on our journey. I'm going to talk briefly about each one of those goals as we roll forward. Our cultural proficiency journey, we began in June of 2017, and we continue it to present. We've done a lot of work with the Board of School Inspectors and with the leadership team. The board has held several workshops where they've actually addressed revisions to the district mission and vision statements so that we can incorporate those pieces into our journey as well. The district leadership team has held monthly professional development sessions, and they are now at this point ready to launch into their plans for their school site to begin culturally proficient equity activities with their staff. In your folder on the right-hand side is a full copy of a document that the board just adopted in June. It is our Equity Blueprint for Action. If you want to read that at your leisure to know more about our equity work, that is there for your perusal. And we will continue our journey. So you have that document in your handout. One aspect of the document I want to point out is our framework that we're following. The framework for equity includes 3 different areas of functionality in the school district. School culture, which represents our professional attitudes, our clear focus on students, our inclusive environment and collaboration. Teaching and learning, which looks at the classrooms, so it's at curriculum, teaching skills, assessment, and interventions. And leadership, where we're building equity, we're looking at our vision and direction, accountability, and sustaining innovation. So this framework then drives all the work that we do around our equity project. Early literacy. We found when I first came to the district, the data was stark and alarming that 40% of our kindergartners were arriving to school knowing fewer than 5 letters of the alphabet. So we really needed to tackle this problem quickly. So we have made a focused approach to literacy instruction in all of our K-2 classrooms, as well as reaching out into preschools across the city of Joliet. We don't look at a preschool and say, are your students coming to us? No. We look at preschools as preschools for everybody that are preparing students for school no matter where they go. We've been working with about 30 preschools across Joliet, teaching them, training their staff on the same literacy program that we're using and providing them resources. This has been a great piece to help build that preschool piece into the fabric of what we do so that we can build the literacy skills of students across the city. We've also invested in several of the community centers across the town and looked at book rooms. The Forest Park Community Center was one of the beneficiaries of that process. And we got a grant from the federal government that was related to community health, and community health is related to literacy. So we put that money into book rooms and really have been working to build that piece across the city. The data is already showing some fabulous results for our youngest students as they're moving forward. The next 2 goals are about mastery by grade 3 and 8. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but 3rd grade reading statistics are typically what are used across the nation to determine how many beds are needed in prisons. We have to address the issues around, are we getting our 3rd grade students truly to mastery? So we're addressing this with our focused approach to our curriculum areas in guided reading and guided math, teacher collaboration, focused specifically on the data and identifying the specific needs and which students need additional supports. Increased access to high-quality resources, both digital and hands-on, increased uses of technology, and the data is beginning to show movement on both those grade levels toward better success. Digital citizenship is our 5th goal. Here we've launched into a 1-to-1 program at our junior highs. Last year, all of our 6th graders received a Chromebook. They received training. Their parents received training and in-servicing on how to manage the Chromebook. By the end of the first trimester, students were taking the Chromebooks back and forth to home, and building that responsibility. There's always interesting pieces where people think, oh, you're going to have a lot of breakage and damage. Not so much. The kids really take good care of the Chromebooks. We haven't had very little need for repairs. We have serious content filtering, though, on those Chromebooks. No matter what internet source they connect to, the content filtering is the same content filtering we use at the school sites. So they can't get to sites that are inappropriate on that device using it in any system out and about. Some of them have complained about that, but it's all good. It's for their best. So sixth grade last year was the first grade level that we did that with. So they will continue with those Chromebooks in 7th grade. They will continue with them in 8th grade, and then they belong to them at that point. When they enter high school, they get a PC laptop. So we're trying to prepare them. This whole notion of preparing for that next step is what this project is about. So this incoming 6th grade class this year will get their Chromebooks. So 6th and 7th grade will be taking them back and forth to home, and we'll continue that on so that we have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade all years in the future having that one-to-one environment available. We have a ton of digital resources for staff and students. Discovery Science, National Geographic, Myon is a reading program, and then Go Math. A lot of high-quality professional development as well for staff and students so that they're aware of what and how to use those Chromebooks for. Now, the connections on to high school, this slide is kind of our transition slide as we go between districts. Education is a continuum. It doesn't stop at 8th grade. Even though my district ends at 8th grade, it doesn't stop there. It moves on. We're stronger when we work together. When we connect the dots, we have stronger articulation between the districts, and we've been doing that for years. We're going to continue that on under new leadership as well with Dr. Hansen. Makes for smoother transition for students and families. We already pretty much align our calendars, and our curriculum is also aligned. So with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Dr. Hansen, and we'll do questions at the end.
Thanks, Teresa, so much. I look forward to those transition activities. Everyone, thank you so much for the invitation tonight to present. I appreciate that, to talk about the incredible educational opportunities that we offer to our students at Joliet 204. I'd like to also thank you all so much for your civic leadership and the opportunities we have together to partner and offer our community the best leadership. Growing up, my dad was in the Army, so I grew up a military brat living all over the United States, and I actually graduated high school from what was then known as West Germany. So that was a great experience and enjoyed that part of my life. I met my wife, Sarah, at the University of South Dakota, and we have 3 children. Our oldest daughter, Lexi, is married and lives in South Dakota with her husband, Aaron. Our son, Drew, just graduated high school and will be going to Black Hill State University this year. And our daughter, Kendall, is an 8th grader, and she'll be at Troy Middle School this year. All of my professional education activities and experiences have occurred in the state of South Dakota. I was a 7th grade language arts teacher and just kind of moved my way up to the superintendent position. But I am so grateful and honored to serve here in Joliet with an incredible team of educators and wonderful students and families. So I'm very excited to start the school year. My leadership philosophy this year will focus on listen, learn, and lead. And the listening sessions are there to understand the diverse needs of the school district, to build relationships, and to really connect with our community. And then take those activities and craft leadership opportunities that focus on student success and that are also aligned to our district strategic plan. So excited to start that process and continue it with messages such as this and getting out in the community. More than 900 dedicated faculty members share the opportunity to serve 6,719 students and their families each and every day. Our students not only have access to exemplary academic programs, but also take an active role in over 30 clubs and 40 co-curricular activities at each campus. We also have an amazing and historic band program. More information about our district demographics is noted in your handbook. Since 2001, our strategic planning process has really charted our course for school improvement and our district initiatives focused on student success. The strategic plan is collaboratively prepared by a diverse group of stakeholders that include our students, our faculty, our board members, administrators, and parents and community members. It's a powerful practice because all voices are being heard. The strategic plan is a living document. It identifies our objectives, our strategies, our parameters, our beliefs, and our action plans within it. And it serves as our guidepost in our shared commitment to ensure that all students have the skills necessary to compete and contribute in a global society. Your folder also contains our current iteration of our strategic plan. Joliet Township High School District is committed to cultivating an inclusive community that values and embraces the diversity and respects the humanity of all people. And our plan is dedicated to creating a culturally responsive educational experience for all of our students. Leading our success in this effort is a committee comprised of diverse stakeholders who meet monthly and through their dedicated leadership have accomplished so much. They've created a powerful new diversity statement, implemented meaningful professional development programs focused on an inclusive environment that celebrates the diversity of our student body. They've revised and implemented our hiring practices to expand the diversity of faculty and our administration. And we have highly skilled bilingual faculty and family engagement liaisons at each campus to help remove any communication barriers with our Spanish-speaking students and families and to build relationships. And the district celebrates cultures throughout the year with events drawing hundreds of students and community members together in a family-friendly and very fun setting. JT 204 embodies the modern curriculum. Faculty and students have access to technology platforms and support structures promoting the district's commitment to the modern educational space. Our one-to-one laptop initiative offers our students access to blended courses, opportunities to strengthen their digital citizenship, and options for cyber safety. We're also very excited to receive 660 hotspots from Sprint's 1 Million project. This project offers eligible students the connectivity necessary to have success during the school year. And innovation has been the absolute hallmark of JT 204. Especially new this year is our e-learning emergency day system. During unscheduled school closures, such as weather events, our faculty and students will complete work online. And the best part is, no need to make up the school day at the end of the year. So fantastic. Our students will be learning right along with their faculty members when it's just not right to be out at school. So another artifact highlighting the district's commitment to 21st century learning. As an organization, we are absolutely dedicated to college and career readiness for all of our students. And each building offers 1 freshman academy and 5 career academies with programs of study focused on student interest and individualizing the educational experience for those students in the career of their interest. Our curriculum offers project-based learning opportunities, AP, advanced placement courses, college credit, dual credit from our community colleges and universities, and over 500 community partnerships where students have the opportunity to job shadow and then take part in internships during the school year. These instructional experiences provide students success to earn industry certifications, provide students access to high school college credit while they're still in high school, and also valuable career preparation to ensure our students are prepared for the career of their choice. We're very proud to work with D86 and all of our center schools and very honored to work with you. Thank you so much for your leadership, and we'll stand by for questions.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Welcome to Joliet. And Dr. Rouse, thank you for all your work. You know, not only have you done a great job in our school system, but you're a big part of the community. A lot of the events and all that, I see you there participating. So thank you, and welcome to Joliet. Any questions or comments?
Just one comment. Thank you again for what you bring to our youth. As it relates to their education, we look forward to working with you. Dr. Hanson, welcome to Joliet. Dr. Rouse, thank you so much for your collaboration with the centers. That was the best move, let me say. That early learning center took a whole new look. So thank you so much, and the kids are progressing. Thank you.
Are we seeing a number of kids wanting to get into the trades now?
Absolutely, that really is a strong movement, and we've got wonderful CTE programs. And as I noted, the business partnerships are absolutely incredible. And so the great work that you're doing promoting Joliet definitely impacts us, and it's a great connection where our students have even more opportunities to develop career interests that, in some cities they just don't have. Certainly from some of the areas I've come to where tourism and other pieces are the predominant business, Joliet offers so much in industries that pay very well and really are technically based. So very excited.
Yeah.
Dr. Hanson, I am particularly interested in the trades as well because, college isn't for everybody. And we certainly need our plumbers and electricians and carpenters, all very important jobs. And so that wasn't always offered, and I'm glad to see that because we do have a lot of good people. My nephew being one of them, he wasn't a real good college person, but he's now a union plumber, and I'm very proud of him. So thank you for that, and congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you, sister.
Sandy wants a picture.
Yes, that's fine. I know she has her camera all the time.
I know, that's good to see you again.
Sure, if you want to come up here, whatever's better for you. So we can get behind you.
I sat down my first night too.
Picture.
You'll get used to this. I wonder why.
In front if you want, or up on the dais.
Yeah. Yeah. Get in the middle here. Get used to it right in here. Can you get us all in?
Get everybody in?
Come on, get up close. Okay.
Thanks so
Don't
much.
go anywhere without that camera.
I know.
She
She takes 100 pictures. Thanks so much.
Thank you all.
Moving on, under mayor, we have two separate appointment groups this evening. First, the mayor is proposing the following reappointments to the Committee for Citizens on Disabilities. Tony Orlano, Richard Parrish, Sandy Parrish, Stephen Voigt, Sherry Voigt, and Billy Joe Adams. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Hi.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Also this evening, the mayor is proposing to make the following appointments to the Arts Commission. Marguerite Stoiber, Lori Carmine, Teresa Rouse, Aaron Blazer, Brett Markham, Eric Deshawn Doris, John Simpson Jr., Eric Gorder, Deborah Summers, Sue Regis, Lauren Lass, Roxana Fuqua, Megan Millen, Quinn Adamowski, Micah McDade, and Crystal Malone. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Mayor, since Quinn isn't here, who can I ask that question of?
Maybe Marty might be around.
Marty, I was wondering, there's some other folks that want to be on this commission, but the commission's already picked, so I was wondering, are there guidelines for term limits, or you're asking?
I could answer that.
Okay.
We had talked about that. In fact, we had hoped that that would be the case. One of the discussions that I had with Quinn as this whole thing was first starting was the question of committees. I mean, there's plenty of room for people to get involved in this committee, whether they're a member or whether there are, it's called committee slots or subcommittees or whatever. So our hope is that not only through the networking of the members, but just through the publicity that's happened, we get more and more people inquiring. In fact, I had a gentleman in my office who has an art gallery chatting with me yesterday, and I told him about this. So it's not just limited to the folks that were mentioned. This is a community effort.
Right, but again, are there going to be guidelines, like,
What- Well, within the code, we talk about the roles, responsibilities. I think some of the informality of the committees will be developed really by these folks. I mean, they're going to create their own bylaws, and they're going to kind of come up with their work tasks and how things are broken up. This is absolute work in progress. So,
Of course, that's why I just want to know.
yeah.
the guidance.
So we hope there are plenty more people.
Okay.
That's great.
I'll vote aye. Thank you.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudron.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on an agenda item this evening?
Mary Beth Gannon, Western Avenue. Council members, tonight you're going to be making a decision that's going to affect roughly 150,000 people. And when anyone from this town looks at that decision, it doesn't take somebody with immense IQ to realize that your decision isn't going to help them. It's going to help somebody who doesn't live in Joliet. This whole contract benefits one person and one person only, Steve Jones. When I read the Herald and the Patch today, and I looked at the number of hours he's going to work, I thought it was kind of curious the way the numbers were instead of broken down for weekly amount of hours where most people only work 40 hours a week. You put in all the hours for a whole year, so it makes it seem like more than what he's actually doing. You break down those numbers, that's 35 and a half hours a week. That's not 40 hours. We are the third largest city in Illinois. We need somebody who's going to be here full time. And like many folks, they stay after work. What if something big happens? What are you going to do? He doesn't live here. Is he going to be available? We need somebody who's committed to our city. And I'm not seeing that happen. And I just want to know why some of you are bending over backwards to placate one person instead of the 150,000 of us who are here. When I look at his career, and yes, it's impressive, I will give you that. But what I do see is a consistency of lack of roots. Working in Oswego, I believe, Glen Ellen, Lamont, New Lenox. Why not plant roots and stay somewhere? You don't have to be born and raised here. But, you know, when you come here, you stay here because you care about this town. You care about these citizens. We need somebody like that. I also want to know why give him this position, why give him a contract when he's already under contract? And then he's going to get a big raise out of this. That's not fiscal responsibility. Not at all. You're here for us. He can't vote for you. I can vote for you. Everyone else in this room, other than my kids, can vote for you, you know? You need to do what's right for us and not what's right for just one person. And why do we need a consultant? You know, if he was so great, he'd still be somewhere else, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. But what I see this as is one big contract that's geared toward what one person wants and not what the rest of us want. I see double dipping, or at least the appearance of it. Please do what's best for the residents. Be fiscally responsible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on an agenda item? Seeing none, council committee reports. First is Public Safety Committee report.
Okay, Public Safety met in the executive conference room to the right, and in attendance was Councilman Larry Hogg, Councilman Don Dickinson, and also staff was Mike Ulitz, Chief Formos, Chief Rochner, Dwayne Killian, and from JPD was Chris. And we talked about the execution of the adopting the Tri-County Theft Unit Agreement, and that was discussed last night. And Further down is the request to amend the annual budget for 2 police officer positions, benefits only. That's Council Member Memo 412, and then again on 417. We also discussed to amend the annual budget to purchase 2 replacement severe weather sirens at a cost of $49,044 because we need to update because you can't get the parts anymore. And then there's also an interesting thing going to go on here, and I'm going to have Chief Wormhalls explain the polygons for severe weather.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mayor and City Council, thank you for listening to me tonight. So I'm gonna go backwards. Okay, so as Councilwoman Quillman said, tonight we asked for the approval to amend the 2019 budget and do some maintenance upgrades on a couple of sirens. One is the siren at Bronk and Mallard, and the other one is at Curtis and Hosmer. So those sirens have been in operation for a number of years. Some of the equipment on those are aging, and we're not able to purchase replacement parts for those any longer. So we're trying to be a little forward-thinking and get those 2 sirens replaced before they go down. So those 2, you'll be seeing a council memo later, probably the second meeting here in August, to get that taken care of. With that said, just wanted to talk to you a little bit about tornado sirens. In general, we have 25 throughout the city. As you know, we have about 63 square miles that we encompass. The picture here shows City of Joliet and then the sirens, and we have those strategically placed for coverage, for outdoor notification. These are outdoor weather warning sirens. They're not meant to warn you if you're in your house. They're meant to warn you if you're outside working, playing, that severe weather is imminent and that you should come inside, take cover, and turn into the news for information on the weather. So we had an old way of activating our sirens when the National Weather Service would issue a tornado warning for any part of the city of Joliet. So the National Weather Service issues a warning and they drop a polygon, a shape that the tornado warning is in. And if any portion of that polygon touched the city of Joliet, all of our sirens would go off. So we would activate all of our sirens. So it could be bad weather out west and sunny skies out east or south. And as the storm rolled through, it might have taken a trajectory towards the northern, going from west to east along the northern boundary of the city, and never really touched down south, that type of thing. So we were activating all the sirens, but we've got some new software in place that will allow us, there we go. So we have some new software that we are putting into place that will allow us to only activate the tornado sirens within the polygon area issued by the National Weather Service. So as these polygons are dropped on, this one here is showing an example that only those sirens within the polygon would be activated, because those are the people that in town that we're looking to inform, and that's the path that the storm should be traveling through based on National Weather Service projections. And as those polygons change, if further ones are issued by the National Weather Service, we'll activate other sirens throughout the city. So we wanted to take that time tonight to let you know that that's coming. We're going to be doing a press release. We'll put it on the Facebook, that type of thing too, so that everybody's aware of it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Okay, and for information only, we discussed a mutual aid agreement with Plainfield Fire Protection District and Joliet Fire Department, and there will be a presentation about that at the next council meeting. And then under new business, old business, we discussed body cams, and we're looking into the cost, the compatibility with the dash cams that we already have, so we're going to be researching that. And just the benefits of the program, because I did a little research on this myself, because I think since we're the 3rd largest city in the state of Illinois, we should really start looking at body cams. But anyway, it will enhance community confidence through greater transparency, provide a greater narrative, more complete, potential of improved conduct and reduced violence from offenders, potential of improved conduct and reduced use of force from officers, more certitude in disciplinary investigations, and reduced citizen complaints. although it's not mandatory in Illinois, I just think that it's something that we need to look into. But again, it'll be the cost of equipment, there'll be training involved, and also the council needs to form a policy. That's just some of the benefits. So we are in the talking stage of that, and we are going to start researching that. And that concludes my report, unless anybody else has anything to add. Got it covered? Okay, we're done. Thank you.
Public Service Committee report.
The Public Service Committee met yesterday, August 5th, here at City Hall in the Executive Conference Room at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. On the committee and in attendance was Councilwoman Gavin, Councilman Morris, and myself. Also in attendance was Allison Swisher, Director of Public Works, and several of her staff members, and Jim Trisner, Director of, Public Utilities for Allison, and Jim Trisner, Director of Public Works, and several of his staff, as well as Steve Jones, Interim City Manager. We had 14 items on our very exciting agenda. 2 of the items were under contracts, which was a couple of contracts. One was for sewer repair, one was for water repair. Please ask if you want more details. We had several change orders, which we reviewed, and those included some costs of projects that were adjusted down and some that were adjusted up, depending on what had happened with those projects. Again, all of these items were reviewed by us and are on the City Council agenda tonight. The only one I would break out under ordinance and resolutions, well, first I would mention that you would show publicly that we had 3 items under there, and the third item, C, was withdrawn by the Joliet Housing Development Corporation. The Housing Authority decided not to come to the meeting and maybe come to another meeting to present their situation. So that left us with 2 other items, which are routinely housekeeping to release the money to pay for the items earlier talked about at the committee meeting, should they be approved by the council. For those that live or travel or work out in the far west by 59, the Dunkin' Donuts looks like we'll have a drive-through. So on your way to work, if that's your brand of choice, they will be tearing down 1/4 of the building to make room and meet the requirements of the city to make it a safe drive-through. So we reviewed that, and again, like all the other items on the agenda, it was unanimously approved by all 3 of us members to be sent to the council with committee recommendation for approval. Since I've mentioned the brand, I will close out my report by saying I still go to Donut Den, and Home Cut Donut is still in business in two sections, on Jefferson and Washington Street. I love local donuts. That's my report, Mayor.
We noticed.
Oh, I'm sorry. And Councilwoman Quillman did attend the meeting. Unfortunately, I think one of the items on the agenda that were pulled was something that we were interested in, right, Councilwoman?
Yes.
So she'll be at the next meeting.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman Gavin. That's it, Mayor.
I show no other reports. Under consent agenda, approval of the minutes. It's recommended the minutes of the pre-council meeting held on July 5th, 2019, and the minutes of the council meeting held on July 16th, 2019 stand approved as recorded. Council Memo 403-19, position vacancies. It's recommended the city manager be authorized to fill 1 chemist in the Plant Operations Division of the Public Utilities Department, 1 wastewater plant operator 2 position in the Public Utilities Department, 1 clerk typist in the Finance Department, 1 deputy police chief, 2 police patrol officers, 1 police sergeant, 1 police cadet, 1 fire captain, and 1 floating project coordinator position, and any subsequent vacancies which may occur with these positions. Council Memo 404-19, regular payroll for May 24th through June 6, 2019, $3,588,952.95. And Council Memo 405-19, regular payroll for June 7th through June 20th, 2019, $3,596,780.01. It's recommended said regular payrolls be approved. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
Mayor,
Yes.
if I might request, if we can do that, as far as creating the new position, staff position for what was referred to as a floating project manager, I will not support that. While it may be a convenient addition to our staff that we don't really add to very much because of budget constraints, there are more critical needs out there. So, of course, I will support all the other positions. So can we break that one out? Sure.
So is there a motion to approve the said consent agenda items with a separate vote on the floating project coordinator?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve the consent agenda items minus the floating project coordinator. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Huggs?
Aye.
Mayor,
Yes.
before we vote on that, is it possible to wait on that until we look at the budget? Because I know we want to hire some more police officers. Or is that of a dire urgent need?
Well, if you can motion to table it if you want.
Well, yeah, but I'm asking is that before I go to do that, I'm just wanting to know if it's feasible.
We are about to, in fact, is it this week we get one of the maternity cases? Okay. So, I mean, in effect, we know that we have some positions that are going
Well, can't we
to...
hire a temp though until we know what our budget is?
Kath, would you like to address that? I think the temp issue is probably a more expensive proposition.
The tempo issue, a temp person would probably eat up the budget quicker and would require more ramp-up time for training. I mean,
We can't hear.
but-
She says the temp position would eat up the budget and will require more time, more
Well,
ramp-up time for
The
training.
ramp-up time for training
Training.
would definitely take longer.
Well, do you have somebody in mind for this position that already works here?
There is the person that's currently filling a role
Is that a temp?
that was brought in.
Is it a temp that you want to hire?
Right, currently, the person is a part-time person. Or-
Part-time person want to move to a
It's
full?
considered a part-time temporary position that was brought in for a previous maternity leave.
But do they know every place where they're going to go? They know how to handle it? Because I know
No.
we've had some folks in the past, they sit there, but they don't really follow up, they just answer the phone, and it hasn't really worked out.
Right.
And I'm not singling anybody out.
Sure.
I'm just concerned about
Well, that was
the
part of the
budget.
thought process for the role, that they would begin training in different areas that were needed, so that they would begin to have that background knowledge and would be more mobile to go to other areas when needed. And they would begin to know all of the processes in different departments. So they have actually been in HR for a bit previously, and my department's the one right now, unfortunately, that we're going to lose someone at the end of the week.
Is that where the person currently is, the part-time person?
She's been, just for a couple of days, trying to do some training. Yeah.
So what is the cost of that position? So it'd be full-time with benefits, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
And that's the reason for the amendment.
So do we know how much that's going to be? What's the starting?
Well, the request for the budget amendment was $25,000 for the rest of the year.
Or what is the
The total,
total?
The annual.
the total. Benefit plus salaries.
Under 50,000.
150. And it's somebody that already works here? It's not, it's a part-time employee? but-
It's the individual who had filled in for Katie Smith in the manager's office back when she was on leave.
Uh-huh.
Same individual.
Question, Mayor?
Yes.
What, I don't think I heard the answer, maybe I didn't hear it. I understand you're saying 25,000 for the remainder of this year. What is the yearly salary? Not just the remainder of this year, what will it be once we add it to the, as a new position?
It'll be under 50,000 annually.
And what will be the cost of all the benefits and the pension?
Generally, for benefits, we add another 25 to 30%.
So we're looking at about 75, 80,000.
Correct.
Okay.
Is this a union position?
No.
All right.
Yeah.
I can't support it right now, not until I know about the police department. Sorry.
I would make a motion to table, well, we're in the middle of a motion, right?
I don't think there's
No,
no-
it's no motion. It
There is
a
no
motion.
Okay, I would make a motion to table the consideration of creating this new position.
Until the budget? Then I would second that, until we take a look at it with the budget.
Right, now we can't talk.
Right.
It's been motioned and seconded to table the position of the floating project coordinator until the budget discussions. Councilman Mudrin?
No.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
You have an immediate need, you're going to have somebody in that position at the end of the week. I vote no.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Point of order here. Councilman Reardon was out of order. There's no talking after a table.
Correct.
No.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Motion carried. The position was tabled to the budget discussions. Next, under licenses and permit applications, Council Memo 407-19, transfer of a Class A liquor license, Andy and Sophie's, located at 931 North Hickory Street. It's recommended Andy and Sophie's be issued a Class A liquor license.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
I vote aye and like to wish Andy and Sophie a long, healthy, and happy retirement. They've been there a lot of years and had a great establishment. So I vote aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 408-19, request for authorization to approve a drive-through permit for a Dunkin' restaurant at 4702 Caton Farm Road. It's recommended the drive-through permit be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, under ordinances, Council Memo 410-19, an ordinance amending the 2019 annual budget for the City of Joliet to hire a full-time project employee for various departments. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
Oh, did we just cover that? Motion to table?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to table Council Memo 410-19, which is an ordinance amending the 2019 budget for the full-time project employee. Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
No.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
No.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
No.
Motion carried, 5-3. Council Memo 412-19, ordinance amending the 2019 annual budget for the City of Joliet for 2 police officer positions, benefits only. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 413-19, ordinances associated with the Boulevard subdivision. It's recommended this item be tabled to the August 20th, 2019 council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, Council Memo 415-19, a resolution authorizing the Director of Finance to select the phased-in contribution rate for Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund of 16.94% for 2020. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
And motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 416-19, a resolution authorizing execution of a letter of intent to purchase real estate. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Rudin?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 417-15, a resolution adopting and authorizing the execution of the Tri-County Auto Theft Task Force Intergovernmental Agreement. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Rudin?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 418-19, a resolution rescinding the conditional job offer to James Hawk for interim city manager.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman?
It's a tough one because we have two proposals here and he's the cheaper of the two, so I don't know what to do here. He's no longer here. I guess he's off the table. I vote no.
Councilwoman Rudin?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Motion carried 7-1. Council Memo 419-19, resolution to approve an employment agreement for Steve Jones.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve.
Wait a minute, are we going to discuss this contract publicly? Yes, I think we should.
Okay.
Want to start?
That was with a motion.
Mr. Muddy, want to start? It's your contract.
I thought we couldn't talk with a motion on
I think it's the city's contract. I think we're all one board here, I thought, Jan.
Not lately, but go ahead.
As stated in the agreement here, there was conversation last night with Steve Jones that he would continue in his position as interim city manager, and he has agreed to stay on in that position for 6 months. At which time he would have the option, the city would have the option of hiring him as a contract employee, either as the interim city manager, or he would we would have the opportunity to hire him, if desired, to be economic development. That's the motion that's on our table today.
At what cost?
At the cost of the current interim city manager position.
And what is that number?
I believe 192,000, but I don't see it.
It is.
It's in here. It's in here.
Next page.
Question, Councilwoman, if you don't mind, can I step in?
Go ahead.
I don't think we have an established, by ordinance, interim city manager description finalized. Isn't that supposed to be Thursday's meeting with the city manager descriptions?
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
On
So
the
we
land
don't-
use, it's scheduled for, it was discussed that they needed a new job description. It got sent back to land use a couple times, and it's not on the agenda now until Thursday, so I don't even know why we're doing this,
But under the current deputy city manager ordinance or description, the job duties is to fill in. It doesn't say anything about renegotiating contract, it's to fill in, is my understanding.
Right.
Okay. That was just what I needed to clarify.
Yeah, I just want to be clear because I'm a little confused. Is there, do the city have the option to hire Mr. Jones at the end of February, or it's in the contract that he will be hired? That's what I guess with Mr. Mudge, with Pat, you have stated that the city has the option. I thought, from my understanding, I could be wrong, that the contract would state that he would be hired
as the economic director if by that time we found a permanent city manager?
On the last page, number 2, if the city of Joliet seeks to retain Mr. Jones as a contractual economic development director.
Okay, I'm not looking, I didn't
Okay,
open
yeah,
it.
so-
Yeah, okay.
As I read that, we have the option of continuing him as economic development director.
So if we decide at that time not to hire Mr. Jones as the economic director under contract, then we won't.
I guess Marty, but that's my understanding.
If you go, would have to look above that to subsection C, where it says, effective March 1, Mr. Jones shall transition from a full-time to contractor status. And then it's either a contractor status as interim city manager or economic development director.
It would make no sense if that wasn't worded that way. Why would you put it in, stuff 2 extra contracts into the original? Okay, this is 3 contracts stuffed into one, essentially. And so, yeah, I mean, it's obviously obligating us, that Mr. Jones wants to retire and then double dip. And that's a personal choice of his own, but it's not a choice that we should be making.
Another thing I'm confused about, you didn't want to hire Hawk at $215, yet the full-time costs with benefits here are $266, $247. So how's that being fiscal responsible? I don't get it. I think Mr. Hawk, we could have got him with no benefits for $215, and now we're wasting time again, and here we are at $266,247. I'm missing something here. But it's simple math. It's probably because there was no plan put in place, I guess.
Is this, go ahead.
I think that when we elevated Marty to interim city manager, we gave him the $192,000 plus benefits, which is the same thing we're offering to Mr. Jones. And I think that's where we arrived at that number.
Well, at the time, Councilwoman, you weren't here when we elevated him. We elevated him because he's not required to do the job. He's a city attorney. So he could have said no. Mr. Jones is required to do the job by ordinance and definition of his position without an increase. So no, that's apples and oranges. Thank you.
I have one other question too. Are you still going to be taking every Friday off?
I have Fridays off through the middle of September.
And then after that, you'll be here every day?
Yeah.
Because I know there was another employee that took every Monday and Friday off, and she's no longer employed here. So, full-time employed. I don't know. Oh, one more question, I'm sorry. So what does GovHR have to do with Mr. Jones's contract here at the end? It says Gov temps fee, 40% of the salary at $72,000 we have to pay them? Is that what it was?
When I put together the comparison of continuing to function in an interim city manager role utilizing a contractor, I identified what cost would be associated with that to show that there would be savings under either scenario for the city. So in effect, if GovTemps was the entity, they charge a fee, 40% of salary, which covers the FICA tax that the employer pays, which would be them, along with professional liability insurance and a number of other things. So in effect, in either scenario, if GovTemps was the firm that I would use as a contractor, that fee would apply. You'll note in the economic development side, this arrangement would save the city over $40,000. And the reason there's more savings in one is that obviously the percentage, the 40% is based on 121 versus 180. So in effect, it's a fee. Last night, we talked about there was some concern about GovHR, GovTemps, and I indicated that if the city did take me on as a contractor, I didn't have to use GovTemps. Certainly, I could use another third party if they thought that was too close to the firm that was doing the recruiting and hiring. So that was that's not in the contract, that was in the spreadsheet that showed the dollars and cents.
Right, in the contract, it just says that we would be paying the vendor fee.
Yeah.
And hiring firms' vendor fee is traditionally approximately 40%.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that was using GovTemps. If there was an alternate firm, I mean, that number's going to come down. So the key is that was put in there as a worst-case scenario. But again, you know, $10,000 savings to the city in the interim city manager scenario, and over $40,000 savings to the city in the economic development scenario.
So GovTemp is part of GovHR?
They have two areas of focus in addition to consulting.
Same ownership?
I believe so.
Okay. So the company that was here last night selling us on hiring them to do the search, you consulted with prior to last night on putting together your proposed contract?
No, I have no
Well, then how would
proposed
you know what they're
contract.
charging and what the parameters are?
I have no proposed contract with them.
No,
This is me.
You consulted with them to put together the proposal you presented to us, because you included them in your contract spreadsheets.
No, this is their standard fee. The city has used GovTemps before. So in effect, what I did is I took the last contract that the city used, and I know there's a 40% fee. That's their standard fee. So I have no contract with GovTemps.
I said consulted with them to construct your proposed contract with the city.
No.
So you just guessed what their fee was. You didn't talk to them.
As I just, let me say it again, I utilized the last contract that the city had with GovTemps, which was for our building, I think it was our building director. So in effect, it's the same contract.
Now, folks, and then I'll be done. You know, I'm not going to drill any deeper on the details of the contract. It's an inappropriate contract on its face. There is nobody I talk to in the city of Joliet that approves of double dipping. I had one person tell me this is double dipping on steroids. Usually somebody retires and then they leave for a while and then they find a job in a different community if they want to try to attempt that. This is double dipping. Should not be held necessarily, that's up to each individual to make their moral judgments against those asking for it. But as you consider this, folks, you're doing something that many people consider unethical. Some people will go as far as say immoral, but almost everyone, when you talk to them in the public, will say is wrong. Double dipping is wrong. Your justification is to save $10,000. If this is going to be the new policy of the city of Joliet for maintaining its management staff, because you certainly wouldn't make a special exception for just one person, I will tell you sitting at the wall that are directors, assistant directors, deputy directors, you won't get it from me, but watch your backs. Apparently, we're setting up a precedent where double dipping to save $10,000. Well, we're not going to hire someone who doesn't want to retire. And retire is defined by Webster as to cease to work. That's retire. Double dipping is defined as collecting a pension from one government entity while working for another government entity, is the common modern, and I think I sent you guys all a copy of that in text individually. So this is double dipping. And if we're doing something that's considered by most to be wrong, and we're doing it only because it saves us $10,000 on a $300 million contract, and therefore we are going against commonly accepted principles and values, then I guess that's the new pro forma of this city. And folks, get your resumes ready. Apparently, those that vote in favor of this contract will come after you next to save $10,000. I'm done.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I did. I think I forgot to. So I just want to be clear. So back to, so we will have to the way, if this contract is to pass, hire Mr. Jones as the economic director under contract at the end of the term of his interim city manager if we find a permanent city manager.
Yes, and if you look at that very last subsection E, this agreement authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement with a third-party firm.
Okay, and so, and I know it's been some talk tonight, and I'm almost through, Mr. Mayor, about the GovHR. We've used them before. I think you said, Mr. Jones, to hire the building, someone in the building.
The building director.
Right.
After
So they went out and found him, and say, hey, here's a guy that kind of what you're looking for. So what I'm trying to understand is how do we justify giving them 40% when you're already here? They didn't find you for it.
We indicated last night that if the council felt uncomfortable about GovTemps, that I wouldn't use them as a third-party contractor.
But I
So-
mean, any third-party contract, company,
Yeah.
why would we pay them when you already, it's not like we pick up the phone and call where another company or GovHR, GovTemp to say, hey, we need an economic director where you go and do a nationwide search for us. And then like the city manager,
Right.
then they bring us some candidates. And but you're here. I mean, they didn't bring you to us.
Right, I said, I seek to move from an employee status to a contractor status.
And that has to be done through a third-party company.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's Manpower, whether it's GovHR, whether it's any other firm that basically handles staffing, I mean, that would be something that I would utilize.
And they get paid for that.
Well, I mean, they have fees and expenses, and then they have profit. You know, companies obviously have overhead, and they have any number of aspects of the business that needs to generate income. So it's like any other business.
Okay.
Mayor? Yes. There's a question, because I was following you, and I was... Steve, why can't we just pay you direct if you decide to double dip? Why can't we just pay you direct? Why we got to spend 40% more to pay you through somebody else? Why can't we just pay you direct? Why can't you retire and be your own consultant, and we just send you a check?
I choose to go through a...
Why can't we do that?
I choose to do it this way.
So you want us to pay $72,000 because you choose to do it this way?
This is a proposal. Okay. It's saving the city money in both scenarios, and certainly, Councilman Hug, if you feel uncomfortable with this, you know, then...
Does taking it direct impact your retirement?
I'm sorry?
Does taking direct payment from the city impact your retirement?
I'm not retired.
No, when you do this, when you retire and ask us to keep you on, paying you through GovTemp.
Contracting is basically something that would avoid any issues with
your retirement.
The day that I choose to take a retirement.
Okay.
Contracting doesn't mean I'm taking a retirement at that point.
But you're taking a pension, which is retirement.
My choice to take retirement may be the same day or it may be a different day when I choose to go to a contractor. That's a personal decision. That's not something...
That's not what you told us, Steve. You said you wanted to start taking your pension and would like to stay on as a contract. That's what you told us.
I've had executive session discussions. I don't remember any
We've had more than executive
discussions.
We had this discussion back in April when you wanted to do this before you even were made city manager.
And I think that was a private discussion. And as I said, choices need to be made, and I will make those choices. It's not your concern.
No, it's our concern to spend $72,000 to accommodate your double dipping. I'm done, Mayor.
I just want to clarify. So if at the end of your employment with the city, and you become an independent contractor, and say it is economic development at that point, because we have found our city manager and we're, the city would pay $45,000 less. And is this a month-to-month contract? So that, if we hired you immediately because that was part of the contract, is it a month-to-month for us?
It's pretty much at will. I mean, in effect, there's nothing in here that...
Contract or
and that's why I was kind of shaking my head as the question came up about somehow this obligates the city to hire me. No, it doesn't. I mean, on day one, okay, we're done. There's nothing here. It's like right now I'm at will. I mean, all of us, other than those with union protection, are at will. So, if there's value and the city feels there's value in having me go beyond February 28th as a contractor, that's something the city can do. City could decide tonight that our relationship is over. So, yeah, it's not forever. It's not on any fixed term.
Mayor, yes. I am very, very disturbed how this went down last night. And I'm going to say it publicly, even though I said it in closed session. I felt that we're being held hostage here because it's either you give me this or I'm walking. And then fine, if that's what you feel, I can't help it. But I can't be held hostage because I have to look at the whole city and what it's going to cost the whole city in the end. And I'm not going to reiterate everything that's already been said here. But when it went from December to February, then that was a different story. And okay, I'll do this, but if we don't get somebody in that 6-month period, then what happens? Then what do we do? And Sue Ellen said last night herself, we shouldn't look for anybody for another 6 months. We should wait. So at the end of that 6 months in February 28th, what are we going to do then if we don't have anybody? So I just can't support this.
Been motioned and seconded to approve Council Memo 419-19, which is a resolution to approve an employment agreement for Steve Jones.
So moved.
Second.
It's already been.
Motion is not good.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye. Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
As I said, this is based solely in all those more parts to it. Yeah, we can talk. We're not tabling. It's about the double dipping, and then there was an explanation just given that I may not double dip. I may just take a $30,000 reduction in pay for no reason whatsoever. I'm making $155 now. You'll pay me $121, and I won't be collecting a pension. I won't double dip in March 1st. It makes no sense to me. Very disingenuous. This is double dipping. Folks on the wall, get your resumes sharpened. No.
Councilman Morris.
No.
Councilman Mudrin.
And what I feel is the best move for the city of Joliet in moving ahead to obtain a permanent city manager, I vote aye for Steve Jones.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Just a comment, you feel like you have to vote that way because you have no other option, you're stuck. So you gotta move forward here after you guys have dragged this on for 2 months. I vote
Amen.
no.
Motion carried 5-3.
Well, next.
Council Memo 420-19 is a resolution appropriating funds for the Douglas Street Knox Place roadway improvements project. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 421-19, a resolution authorizing execution of an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Plainfield for matters related to the boulevard, providing public improvement cost sharing, roadway maintenance, mutual aid, sanitary sewer service, and water service, and other matters related to the boulevard subdivision. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Krista, yeah, Marty and Steve and Derek Conley, I want to commend you on this. This is good work. It's going to be great for the city of Joliet to get this project and their property finally developed, so thank you.
Under bids and contracts, award of contracts, Council Memo 422-19, award a contract for the 2019 miscellaneous sanitary sewer point repairs project. And Council Memo 423-19, award a contract for the 607-609 Broadway Street Water Main Improvements Project. It's recommended Council Memos 422-19 and 423-19 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Amendments, change orders, and payments. Council Memo 425-19, approved change order number 1 and payment request number 9 for the 2018 electrical maintenance assistance contract. Council Memo 426-19, approved change order number 3 and payment estimate number 5 and final for the Douglas Street Knox Place roadway improvements project. Council Memo 427-19, approved change order number 13 and final payout for the 2017 sanitary sewer rehabilitation program. Council Memo 428-19, approved change order number 5 for the downtown sanitary and storm sewer improvement project. Council Memo 429-19, approved change order number 5 for the 2018 sanitary sewer rehabilitation program. Council Memo 430-19, approve amendment number 8 to the professional services agreement for the 2017 sanitary sewer investigations and rehabilitation program. And Council Memo 431-19, approve change order number 1 to information technology professional services. It's recommended Council Memos 425-19 through 431-19 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the city manager's report.
I have one item. Every year, the governor has what's called the Illinois Governor's Hometown Award. And what it is, it's a statewide award consisting of basically municipalities, townships, counties, et cetera, to find examples of unbelievable unbelievable volunteerism within Illinois. We submitted an application about a month ago for all the 2018 efforts for the old Joliet prison restoration. Obviously, between the trades, city employees, the business community, residents, et cetera, there were an awful lot of hours burned out there. And after all that work, we turned the place into a tourist site. So we did make that application. We're happy to be informed that on September 18th, we made the first cut, and we'll be going down there to do our presentation. So I think there's a second round of presentations after that, but sometime by fall, we'll know whether the city is going to get such an award. And my hope is, because this had such an impact on this community and really on the state in terms of tourism, that not only would we get hopefully real consideration in whatever the population bracket is they put us in, but perhaps come away with the overall Governor's Cup. So we'll keep you informed. We're putting together that team. We've got a couple museum folks, and if he's watching, I'm probably going to surprise him, but we might ask Tom White to come, because obviously he had a heck of a lot to do with all the effort and outpouring of trades volunteerism. So we'll keep everyone informed, but September 18th. That's it.
I think we got that award one time a while back, didn't we, Mike?
I thought we did once.
Yeah, I don't remember the year, but I
don't
remember
either.
because we had signs all over it, Governor's Award.
Right, hometown.
For hometown.
Sometime in the 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s. Yeah, good, thanks.
Thank you.
Next is new business, not for final action or recommendation. Finance Committee discussion regarding gas tax.
Yeah, I put this on the agenda. I was out of town 2 weeks ago when this blew up. So I got a lot of phone calls from the media and then phone calls and emails from citizens, and I know other council people wanted to discuss it. So Councilwoman Reardon, I'll turn it over to you. You made the comments that were in the paper. If you could just elaborate on it.
First of all, I just want to say something. You know, as a city official, I understand that I open myself up for criticism. However, the tactic by an online, we'll call it newspaper, seems to be a targeted effort to intimidation and embarrassment and wild conspiracies. I think it's appalling that the effort to discredit me involved an attack on an outstanding local community leader. And we should all hope that, you know, that's not their strategy moving forward. I can take it, but nobody else in the community, especially one of such outstanding assistance to our community, should have had to be involved in something like that. So that being said, you know, I'm speaking, I'm sure you'd like to speak as well, but as far as the Finance Committee, we have been in the beginning of vetting, you know, the vetting process. We heard from the library. They did a very good presentation and request for funding. And then we heard from our fleet division. We are in an immediate need of $16 million for our decaying vehicles. We will be doing a presentation to let the public see what is really going on there. The gas tax was merely brought up in discussion as a possible funding source. There were no decisions made on that. We're obviously open to all ideas and recommendations from our employees, from our mayor, and our other city council members for alternate funding sources. That was just something brought up in discussion. So that's all I have to say.
Well, the story that I read was written by the Herald News, but I guess they're not included in your attack. Yeah, I don't know where the immediate need came from. We've had a need for a long time to replace vehicles, but we've been doing that. You may or may not be aware of what we've done here. It sounds like you aren't. A couple of years ago, we amended the budget to buy 70 new squad cars, and we did that. We did without raising taxes.
So I don't know if this is a finance committee idea of yours, but I would strongly urge you to start looking at other routes. I think the reaction you got is pretty clear that the people of Joliet are not looking to have their gas tax raised.
I understand that.
Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
The thing here is, and I wish I could have provided them, Councilwoman, was that you were banging the panic bell there, saying that we need immediate first of all, you can't buy $16 million worth of vehicles in 1 year. That's a nightmare as they age. That means every 8 years or 9 years, you got to come up with 16. You got to stagger it. I know we spent over $1 million. It could be as much as $2 million. I asked the director of the motor vehicles for the division a week and a half ago to provide me with a list of the new purchases over the last 4 years. It might be in excess of $2 million. We've made headway, as the mayor just alluded to, without raising taxes. And there is no dire need, as you're scaring the people by saying that. The next question is, my understanding is Mr. Gadati told the public works people, they invited them, bring your numbers about your fleet. That's public service that goes over the fleet. Who invited them from the finance? Why did the finance do the public service, step on the public services responsibilities? Once we determine that we want to do something in public service, we bring it to the council, then they can come when they look for money. We've determined nothing yet. We've been working on this for a couple of years. Who invited them? That'd be like me asking a bond issuer to come to the public service meeting and say, hey, you don't got to listen to the finance
We got to
committee.
make an invitation. They were at our meeting. And
No, it was an invitation, Mr. Gadati.
Okay.
I can address that. We're I don't want to call it pre-budget phase, but we're in the process of starting to talk internally about the overall budget. And one of the topics this year, more than past years, has been capital, because we have done some deferral of capital. Plus, we've had some new big projects that have gone on the potential docket. We've already heard about the library presentation. In fact, they're coming to the council, I believe, in September. Vehicle became an issue. One of the questions, do we want to start some of the Chicago Street studies, in anticipation of the streetscape work and Van Buren Plaza? We have a couple $1 million in parking decks, a couple million of parking deck repairs that need to be done. So all of this sort of leads you to say, okay, how do we do this? It takes some sort of bond funding. And that discussion then goes to, okay, what are the various revenue sources that could potentially pay for that if the council decided to move forward? So finance is where we brought this because of the fact this is sort of a pre-budget discussion. So I certainly take responsibility for this going to finance.
Thank you, Steve. That doesn't address my question. Certainly finance would, once the Public Service Committee determines a program of replacement. What has happened in the 8 years I've been on this council when it comes to budget time is each department puts in the request, what was always referred to as the wish list. Then finance says, well, you got to cut this, you got to, the finance committee looks over the numbers, not the condition of the vehicles or the buildings. We determine as a committee, that's why otherwise we can disband it. Me and the other two members of the Public Service Committee, if they want to do our job, we can stay home and come back later for the meeting. We determine fleet management. We determine fleet condition. We do that in cooperation with the Public Service, Public Utilities, and MMD directors. It doesn't go to finance until we determine what the schedule is. And what the councilwoman has said is, we're putting together a presentation to show you what the fleet looks like. We've already done that. She's way behind the curve. We did it 2 years ago. This is not the responsibility of the Finance Committee. Their responsibility is to vet the cost once the appropriate committee decides what it wants to purchase.
What Mr. Gadot, actually we talked about this today with the finance director, we're going to try to come up with some sort of I don't want to call it a schedule, but some sort of a game plan as to starting to get council information on all these potential capital needs, potential meeting dates, and if it involves, the council in a committee of a whole format or a pre-council format, we're going to try to hit you with that. Breaking it, into little pieces, I think might lead people to kind of lose the big picture, because if there are some bonds that are in the works, a single bond issue can handle 2 or 3 different needs, even if it's, it's utilities, it's public service, it's police, it's fire, whatever. So from a finance perspective, I look at finance as being the big picture, And I get your point about chicken or egg, and I do look at it as sort of a chicken or egg assumption. But in effect, when we've got to look at this holistically, really the budget discussion, I think, is a good place to start. We may disagree on this, and I understand maybe that's how it was done in the
Steve,
past.
there's no need until the committee determines there's a need. Then it's handed off to the finance committee to say, how can we best pay for this? It's that simple.
Well, I think moving forward, I think your point was right. This is being addressed. It was addressed in
Right.
last year's budget. And I know, Marty Shanahan, you were already beginning those discussions last November, and it was ongoing. Of course, I guess that's old news now, but maybe someone's trying to appropriate your ideas, what you had brought forward. But yeah, of course, it's an issue. It's been an ongoing issue, and I commend Mr. Gadadi for trying to put a plan together, because we need one. We should have had one years ago. I think that the short answer is, after the recession in 2008, Mike and Jan, you were here, we stopped buying vehicles. We couldn't make ends meet. We stopped buying vehicles. As times have gotten better and as our economy's improved, as I just pointed out, we've begun buying a lot more vehicles. So I would agree with Councilman Hugg. Any attempt to press the panic button or try to scare people, I don't think is accurate, and I don't think it should have been done. It's my opinion, but I do acknowledge that there's an issue there and that we have to address it. But again, it's a shame you don't have your list, because I know we bought new ambulances, we bought new snowplows, we bought a significant number of squad cars. So we've been doing that. We've been doing it because we're running, every year, we're running a surplus. The city's being managed correctly, and we're running a surplus year after year. After the first 4 years of me being mayor, we added $7 million to our reserve fund. That's in spite of buying these extra vehicles. That's in spite of $52 million being spent the last 3 years on infrastructure, on new sewer mains and new water mains. So again, I wasn't there, I wasn't at the meeting. The first calls I got were from the media. I had no idea what they were talking about. That's when I had to reference the story in the Herald News to figure out what was going on. And I don't know, maybe it was just miscommunication, but it certainly could have been rolled out better, I think. Certainly as mayor, I think I should have known something about it. If I have to answer questions about something, I have no idea what was going on. So.
Well, what was interesting, Mayor, is within the context of that article was a we. There was a we reference, which included all of us, right?
Well, that's why
the councilwoman kept saying we.
Well, that's why I brought it up tonight, because I did want clarification, and I wanted to make my position known to the public, and I know others did too. Yes, Mike.
Mayor, you did call me that day that and asked me what happened at the finance committee meeting, and I told you, basically what was said tonight, that Councilwoman Reardon brought that up under new business, and about the condition of the fleet and a possible revenue source could be gas tax, and as I told you, I didn't get the impression she was tied to that, or and as discussed with you, there is a need. Years ago, we were the envy of every community around us because of the condition of our vehicles, especially the guys at the street department, and the other vehicles. But so I think that I told you she was. My impression was she wasn't tied to that, but it certainly got the discussion going, and I would like to see us get on a plan where a lot of other communities, they have a rollover of fleet. They depreciate them and they trade them in where there's some trade-in value, and then you're always replacing and you have that revenue source. I think maybe the staff could give us some revenue sources and proposals on how to support a bond issue for X number of vehicles, whatever that may be. Because we do, we know the list. There's some of them are 20 years old. Some of them are, you can see the street through the floorboard, and it's not safe for the employees. It's not safe for it's not a good image. So, but I didn't get that impression at all. So, okay.
Well, that's again, I wanted to address it. So, thank you. And then moving forward, again, I do want to. I think staff's doing the right thing, trying to put a plan together. I'm not critical of that at all.
And Mayor, if we could put a little bit of fire under the feet of whoever needs to give us that list that we should have had tonight. I think a week and a half is long enough, but it might be well in excess of $2 million. The concept being, when I first came on the council, as yourself did in 2011, they hadn't bought, at the time I was told, new vehicles of any meaningfulness. for 5 years, going back to 2006. And we didn't buy any new ones except for maybe 1 or 2 vehicles until 2013 or so. The progress we've made in the last 4 years, prior to the debacle of June, is in the numbers of the vehicles we have addressed.
Thank you.
Is there any other new business?
Business done? No. Eddie?
I have nothing, sir.
Yes, it keeps bouncing back and forth between here and executive session, and that is the council's ability, whether they vote it up or down is up to each individual council member, to release tapes that have become controversial in establishing truth. And, you know, I feel like I've been stonewalled, I feel like a ping pong ball. Ultimately, it was explained to me by the city legal staff that when we delayed the discussion 2 weeks ago, after delaying it 2 weeks prior, it was because I was told by certain members of staff that we must talk about an executive session. Legal clarified, no, we checked with the Attorney General, who said, you have a choice. You can either do it publicly in front of the residents, or you can do it quietly in executive session. That's one of those areas where you can either be transparent or not. Sometimes it's required to be in executive session, and oftentimes it's required to be in public session, and that's good for transparency. So somehow, certain members of the staff or council decided to make option 2, which was to go in there and quietly discuss it, even though we could have done it here like I'm doing now. So we had a discussion last night about it, which I think makes the secrecy of the executive session concerning the release of the tapes null and void. And I was told last night that, I said, you know what, we'll just make this simple. What we did find out, for the public knows what happened, is that we currently, twice a year, we go back and review tapes going back a certain amount of years, and we release them. The state requires that effort twice a year, and we'll continue to do that. And I said, do we need, and I've asked this a month and a half ago, do we need an ordinance or a new policy to release them either in transcript form, so people can read exactly what was said in there, or in audio form, if it's not too expensive? And I was alluded to for 6 weeks that we did, and we don't. We need to make a vote up here. So I said, what I'm going to do in 2 weeks is I'm going to put up the 4 meetings that were in question that I wanted released, and several other, I had one other council member tell me he's ready to vote right away on it. And then I was told last night by somebody, you can't put it on there unless the city manager approves it. Well, I've straightened that out. I gave the information to the city manager today. I showed him state statute, which doesn't exist and is quiet on it in my research, and our own city ordinance that says actually each one of us, from the mayor on down, can put whatever they want on the agenda. That's up to us. I knew that already, but I like to deal in facts and visual aids. And that actually, if any staff member puts something on the agenda, anyone on this council can object. So actually, the veto or blocking of something going on the council agenda was reverse of what was explained to me last night. So with that said, we can all wait, because we did discuss this last night, and I'll put together the ordinance and run it through legal to make sure, or I should say the memo, and run it through legal to make sure, and then we'll have an up or down vote. But last night, several of the people, including a couple that told me, said publicly they were going to vote for it, said, we won't vote for it to be released in transcript, full amount, or in electronic. We only want to do the traditional way, which is a summary, which is what you guys can get now. Should we have a straw poll now, folks, or do I need to go through the exercise? I mean, if the straw poll is yes, we have enough votes to release these tapes, now I can formally put together the memo, run it through legal, and in 2 weeks we'll vote on it. If I don't have 5 votes, why would I waste my time? Anybody want to go on the record on whether they're going to vote for this or not? Of course, this is assuming, folks, so nobody tries to defer, that the vote would be to release it, and of course then it has to be redacted by legal and the council. There's certain portions that will be redacted. That's an accepted outcome. We know that.
Can I ask a question, a point of order?
Sure.
And I know you're going to be upset with me, but
nah.
Should this go through committee to change in policy, or is this just a one-time thing that we vote on?
So it's really up to you.
To me or to the council?
To the council, is it?
Well, and Mayor, in my research, what I found out is the way it's described is we have a number of committees which are all formed by you and approved by us. But there's always, no matter how many committees you form or you get rid of, there's always one committee. It's called Committee of the Whole. As an duly elected official, I have every legal right to bring it to the committee as a whole.
So is that
nobody gets to give me a second, which means it dies. I put it together, I go through the effort, I make a motion to approve it, and nobody gives me a second. If somebody gives me a second, everybody's got to vote.
Well, then present it to the legal department, we'll get on the agenda.
Okay. That's last night there was some talk, Mayor, if you remember, about people saying what their commitment is. Some of them switched their opinion. I would prefer not to waste my effort if what I heard last night in there is you don't have 5 votes. But if you prefer that we keep that, everybody in suspense, and I go through the motions, I'll do that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Terry?
I have nothing.
Jan?
No.
Sherry?
No.
Mike? Nope. I have 2 things. Number one, I do want to thank the efforts downtown. The Kids Fest this last weekend was another big success. I was down there. I did get complaints afterwards. Kids Fest was a little bit different than New Orleans North or some of the late night fests. It ended early, or late afternoon, early evening, and there were complaints from some of the business owners about the garbage that was left behind. I think traditionally, we would come out the next morning and clean the garbage up. Jim, I'm not sure who this falls under, but we need to coordinate a little bit better. An event like that in the afternoon, we shouldn't leave the garbage. We should have had a city crew or required the vendor to clean up that evening and not wait till the next morning.
Yeah, I believe that was a requirement of the vendor putting on the event, and they did not fulfill their obligation.
Right.
Steve, am I right on that one? So
Yeah,
our city
absolutely.
crews came out.
Public Works put together sort of an itemization of hours, equipment, and I'm going to be providing that to the organization who did the event to tell them that they need to up their game.
Okay, thank you. And then also, Chief Rocher's not here. He was here earlier. I spoke with him regarding, they're getting a lot of complaints, and I think well-founded complaints about the level of violence that's happened in the city, and particularly a lot of the shootings are happening on the near west side or west side neighborhoods. We are going to put together a town hall meeting. I was hoping to make an announcement tonight. I don't have it yet, but hopefully we're going to do this next week. So I want to confirm with the chief, but we'll do a press release in the next couple of days. Obviously, the council will be invited, as well as the neighborhood groups and anyone who wants to come and speak to the police. And maybe, I always find discourse with the public is the best for any issue, even if we don't agree. I think that's the best way going forward. So hopefully in the next couple of days, we'll have an announcement about that, the meeting time and the place. Thank you.
Next,
Yes.
I do have some comments I want to make.
Oh, well, this is new business.
That's what I thought, but then you were going on without that, it looked like your comments, so go ahead.
Okay.
I'll wait.
Thank you.
next is public comments.
Oh, man.
I got a chance it up there tonight. I'm just going to stay here. So, wanted to follow up on last night's NOPT officer for Reedwood. I went back to some of our residents, and they had a question: does it go on the agenda? Does somebody have to make a motion to amend the budget? So, at any time, if somebody wants to explain to me afterwards, that's great. Because I'm not sure exactly how it works. So I just told them I think it has to go on the agenda.
I think there's a couple issues. We could amend the budget, vote to amend the budget to hire another officer now. I don't know if that would be effective. It's certainly not going to help Reeves with for the rest of the summer. I think another issue would be if the police department made some internal changes and changed personnel. That'd be the quicker way to get someone there, as opposed to the hiring process. And I think that's going to be part of the town hall. I'm sure that NOPT, maybe shifting officers or redefining the NOPT zones will be an active part of the conversation.
Okay, and thank you for doing the town hall too. I'll make sure to let our neighborhood know.
Thank you.
So that it'll be well attended. Thank you too, Mayor. We appreciate it. And next I wanted to talk about the gas tax. I had this from last night as well. I know that Mayor was against it, and Council Lady Quillman and Councilman Hugg. I even put, on my personal page that they were against it. We know Councilman Reardon was for it. But if any of the other council people would like to send me messages via Facebook and let me know how you stand on it, I will put it on my personal page to get it out there, because a lot of people are upset about this. And I know there was 2 ladies that were for it, and they were like the only 2 out of thousands, and they assumed it was only going to be a penny. And I said, oh, no. $16 million is not going to be put together, with the simple penny. And I'm not sure if you guys are aware either, but the stickers for the license plates are going up $50 coming this year, plus the 38-cent gas tax. I mean, I'm disabled on a fixed income. I got an elderly mother on a fixed income. We got friends with kids in Catholic school. We can't afford any more, gas taxes for vehicles. I know we need them, but like Mayor said, we have a surplus. So maybe we could start cutting out some of the donations we give here. And quite certainly, the voting and stuff that's been going on and the excess money that's going to be spent, maybe we could just curtail a little bit of that to put that money towards the new vehicles that we need for our city. Then I wanted to just mention about the water choice. I'm all for the Lake Michigan water. Naperville has it, and it's fantastic. I'm sure it's expensive. There was one, Aqua something, I don't remember the name of it, but I know they're having a lot of bad reviews from a city it was used in, and I would hate for our residents have to be without water or use bottled water for any long period of time because of this. Lastly, I can't even read anymore, I'm just going to speak from my heart. I'm just so taken back about this whole vote tonight and how it went and what's going on, and I'm just going to kind of relay to you what people are saying online and kind of out there in the public. Since all this started with the alleged so-called Mudron 5, I'm not trying to be mean by any means here, I'm just repeating what I keep hearing, and people are calling us, you know, we've become corrupt, we're unethical. I mean, all these things are coming out, and I'm not blaming everybody, but guys, it looks just so bad for our city. I mean, I truly, right now, I miss Councilman Girl. When he was here with the rest of the council, I mean, before Sherry Reardon came, it's like everybody was working together, and we had all these positive things going on, and I don't know what happened. I feel bad, and I'm not trying to criticize anyone, you know, in particular, but I really wish that we could go back to that, that time, because it was much better, and Mayor, you've just led great efforts for things in our city. Marty was doing fabulous. I mean, again, the council was working together, and I can't blame the three of you that are trying to speak up for us. You know, it just, I've said enough, but, you know, please try and change a little bit here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say something really quick. Thank you tonight to what I'm going to call the fiscal four. Larry Hug, Terry Morris, Mayor Bob, Jan. Thank you for fighting the good fight. Thank you for trying to save us money and not spend more than what was originally planned. Thank you for trying to stop double dipping. You know, the residents didn't win tonight, but at some point we will. My question to you is, why not release the tapes? You know, are you proud of your work? You know, good or bad, you should stand by it. If you've got nothing to hide, release the tapes. It takes a big person to admit when they're wrong. And I keep wondering what's going to happen for the next 2 years. Is it always going to be the 5 ramming through whatever they want? You don't have to be part of that 5, Mr. Turk. I like you. And you don't have to be part of that 5. You can come over to the good side. And this gas tax, why would it even be a consideration? You should always look at cutting before you tax people. We are strapped. It should have never been a consideration. And I will echo what my friend Kathy said. You know, it's not going to be a penny a gallon. A lot of people are under the impression when it came up before as a penny a gallon is a possibility. You know, our good mayor said, no, we're not going to go tax people. You know, to cover 16 million, and I don't have a calculator on me, but it's going to be a heck of a lot more than paying a gallon raise. Maybe it's going to be 10 cents. I don't know. And like Kathy said, you know, when Mr. Girl was here, even though he might not have always agreed with all of you, there was a sense of decorum, and people managed to get along, and they listened to each other. Nobody's listening to each other anymore. They're just like, well, I got my majority, and I'm just going to ram it through no matter what. And the last time we had somebody sitting up there who was that arrogant and didn't want to listen to the people, I called him out on it. He's not sitting here anymore. And I think we all know who that was, Mr. Durrani. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I'm here with my daughter, Shakira. I'm here because I'm a concerned constituent. As many of you may know, my home has been shot at 5 times. I want to repeat that. It's been shot at 5 times. I, like this young woman here stated, she has family. I have 9 children. I have a mother who's in remission of cancer that I care for. I have a son who's mentally ill, who's 23 years old, who I care for. He was diagnosed with a mental health illness at the age of 18 and a half. So it's not easy for me to just up and leave. My home, which I've owned for 20 years, I bought when I was 19 and a half years old. I'm now 40. Never had problems with the police department, never had problems until the last 2.5 years. My whole world has been flipped upside down. You were all elected here as city officials to strengthen the fabric in our communities by leading us in unity. And we don't see that anymore. It's a lot of fighting, it's a lot of bullying going on, it's a lot of I'm more right than you are. It's embarrassing. We have children that are getting shot at. I had a memorial, and thank you to Councilman Morris and Don, who came out at that vigil with a bunch of 8th and 7th graders to pray for a friend who they lost in a shooting right in the Reedswood area. My house has been shot at 5 times. The first 3 times my home was shot at, I never even had a follow-up call from the detectives of investigation. And when I did reach out on November 2nd to Detective Sergeant Alvarez, he stated to me the first 2 shootings of my home, the cases were automatically closed because they didn't feel they had any leads, which is why nobody ever followed up with me or called me. And here I've been told by the police department to wait because my case has to be assigned. Never got assigned. So the last shooting recently, July 7th, just after the 4th of July this year, making it the 5th, my house was shot again 7 times. I go to my St. Pat's Association meeting. Chief Deputy Reed was present. Officer Ryan Smith stated that the report, according to what was given to him, stated that the perpetrator ran towards Morgan Street, jumped in a vehicle, and got away. That is not true. It is completely false. The perpetrator that shot at my house ran behind the property across the street, and I told the officers when they arrived there, I was told they didn't have any dogs available that night to go to the back of that alley to look for the perpetrator who ran back there. At about 1:30 in the morning, the vehicle that dropped the perpetrator off came back to pick him up, and I actually opened my door and took a picture of the vehicle. It was a Nissan Maxima, black. I gave a description of the gentleman, jumped in the car. I actually jeopardized my own safety chasing the car to try to get the plate, but the plate was covered with a white sticker on it. So these perpetrators were driving in my neighborhood, and no officer was present to pull them over because they would have had probable cause, being that their plates were covered. So they got away. I was told by 911 dispatch to go back home, that an officer would meet me there. To find out that not one officer came back to check that backyard to see if there was a gun back there, maybe the guy hid it back there, nothing. And then I was told by Chief Deputy Reed that investigator supervisor would call me. Again, it was the same gentleman I spoke to November 2nd of last year. Sergeant Alvarez stated to me, we are closing the case. It's not been assigned because there's no solvability. There's no leads. I said, what do you mean there's no leads? I gave a description of a vehicle, gave a description of where the guy came out of, what he was wearing. And then he said, well, that's not in the report. In the report, it says the perpetrator ran on foot going towards Marion, going northbound on Comstock. And I says to him, well, that's not true according to your officer, Ryan Smith, who spoke at our St. Pat's Association. Councilman Morris, you were present. He stated that the perpetrator ran towards Morgan and jumped in a vehicle and got away. My point is that there's a lot of inaccuracies being taken in the police reports. And I have no access to this until I FOIA it or until I could get a copy. And sometimes it takes 5 business days.
You're over the 4-minute mark.
Well, I'm sorry, but my life is at risk. My children's life is at risk. And you know, you stated here,
Mr. You speak with him after the meeting.
Can you just please give me just 1 more minute?
Well, the ordinance says 4 minutes, you're over it. So if you can wrap it up, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mayor, the same due diligence, and you said right now that there's people that are in fear because she proposed to increase the gas tax by some 10 cents. People are afraid. It was an outburst of people in fear. There's a lot of people in fear from these shootings. There's a lot of people in fear because inaccuracies are being done in our police reports. And we as constituents don't have access to this till 5 next days. And when we go to try to get a meeting with them, it's very difficult. So we need your help, Councilman. I'm asking for the city council's help.
Okay,
and if I'm exaggerating, you are more than welcome to please give me a time when I can meet so that I can have a meeting with them. Thank you for your time.
If you're interested, he's right there. You can talk to him right now.
I've actually stopped by the police department 3 times and I've still not been able to. But I will
He's
speak
right
to him
there.
right now because
right
he's
there.
here.
Yeah, he can help you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak under public comments?
Detective Reed has been really great, and I ain't heard anything.
You're not on the microphone, ma'am. You've spoken already. Thank you.
Seeing none, next we have mayor and council comments.
I have nothing.
Yes, Mayor, thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to congratulate, and I know I'll let Councilman Morris speak for himself, but I know he will join me in this congratulations. The 2019 Summer League Baseball Championship was held last Thursday. And we are so proud of the Forest Park Bad News that they won the championship this year. So I really want to thank Councilman Morris, my co-sponsor on the team. I want to thank the Spanish Community Center with Sandra Morales as the project leader on that. My coaches, Coach Poe, Commissioner Wright, everybody that worked with the kids, especially the parents. I want to thank you all and the kids. Congratulations. Bad News 2019 baseball champs. Thank you. Oh, and I'm sorry, just one thing. The other thing on a serious note, and I'm hearing, and we're all hearing, the violence that is going on in this city as well as other cities all over. So I just want us to say an extra prayer every time we pray to stop the violence and stop the hate that is going on in this country. So if we could do that, that would be the most appropriate thing, I think, to do to quell a lot of this. Thank you so much. I'm sorry on your time.
Yeah, this is more, you all remember that commercial, I don't know if they still do it, The More You Know? With the controversy surrounding the proposed gas tax increase, which was followed up by apparently a consideration by the county to do the same, I tend to have a lot of time on my hands and like to be a researchaholic. Long story short, and I'm going to get more of this out to those that are interested, based on a $3 currently gallon of gas, 77 cents goes to taxes. Of that 77 cents, 49% is funneled back to the local communities, predominantly municipalities and counties, based on population, so it's not an exact formula, but roughly 49%. So of that 49%, half of 77, 38%, 16.85%, when you buy it at any gas station in Will County, down in Jackson County, in Grundy County, any county in the state, 16.85% by authority of the state legislature goes to Cook County. 9 cents of every 77 cents that you pay here in Joliet doesn't come back to your roads, doesn't come back to your vehicles that need to be fixed, does not come back to it goes to Cook County. When you buy gas in Cook County, 0 comes back to Will. The more you know.
Yeah, Mayor, I just like to echo Councilwoman Gavin's congratulations to the Youth Baseball League. So I won't go over all that, but congratulations to everyone that played a part in that. I also like to thank the Including You committee and workers for putting on I thought a wonderful fest. A couple Saturdays ago in the city center, Julie Alexander and her group of people that I was able to make it this year, and I thought they did a wonderful job.
Jan?
Okay, I missed this because I was sitting here with my thoughts and I wanted to write it down so I would get it right. I asked for a compromise over a month ago and that did not happen. Had that happened, we would have been well on our way with a nationwide search. I'm frustrated as well as our citizens. We look terrible. This council is unfortunately fractured, and it did not have to be that way when the peace branch had been offered. Again, we are fractured. It's going to be a long healing process because this contract is not good for our city. I've heard the phrase many times, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome is subject for failure. Well, when I read it, I looked it up, and it means insanity. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. And the author of that is Albert Einstein. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Sherry?
No, thank you.
Mike?
Just one thing. I want to mention that some of us attended the All Nations Church in God garden dedication a couple weeks ago. I was there, Councilman Dickinson, Councilman Gavin, Councilwoman Reardon was there. And it was a great program. It was kind of coincided with the Southside Picnic. And it's a real nice program. They're growing vegetables for people that they're in need down there, and they can come up and pick up the fresh vegetables. It was a great program, great speakers, and it ended with a girl, she was probably about 5 years old, that sang like I've never heard before. She should be on America's Got Talent, I think. But she did a great job. It was a very nice program.
I was looking for the golden buzzer myself. She was awesome.
Thank you. I echo Councilman Morris. Thank you to Julie Alexander and the Including You Committee. That was another great event. Second year for that event. We definitely want to see that grow as the years go on, but they did a great job. Thank you to, it wasn't Lewis this year, it was St. Francis for Kids Fest and all the volunteers downtown, City Center Partnership, people who were down there. And then also, Elson Swisher, I want to thank you. Last week we had the Environmental Committee, the joint meeting. It's the second joint meeting. Thank you to everyone on the council for attending. I thought it was well put on, well presented. We are moving forward on that issue. And I think it's important that the council participate, because ultimately we're going to have to make the decision. It's a momentous decision for the city of Joliet. And it's good to see that the council is going to be well informed when we finally do make that. So thank you for your efforts in putting that together. And that's all I have tonight.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
A motion seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Larry. No, he said no, I got it, I guess.